Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all of you. This is your host Vaibhav. In today's session of JForex indicator, we are going to continue working with the vector series of indicators. Today we are going to look at the concept of the indicator named as vector ceiling. We use this indicator to round off the value of the underlying instrument to a nearest integer. So in that case, this particular indicator is not equally applicable for all the instruments. You have to see which instruments have the value which can be usefully rounded off to a nearest integer, nearest following integer, not the prior integer. So, for example, if you were to look in the Forex segment, you won't find it much useful for the instruments like Euro USD, GBP USD, etc., who trade around the value of 1.1 and 1.27 respectively. And if we were to round off these current valuation to the following nearest integer, which is 2, we won't see any useful inference from these vector ceiling defined at 2, because that level is far too away, and the Euro USD is not really likely to move towards 2 anytime soon. At least not this weekend, that is for sure, unless anything were to happen, which is very unlikely. So if we have to utilize this technical indicator, we have to see what are the instruments, underlying instruments, price, ticker price, and then whether it is trading closer to the nearest integer value, and if we can use it in a meaningful manner. Only in that scenario it is beneficial for us to utilize this indicator to find out the momentum and the support and resistance. When I was looking at the chart, I came to realize that for this indicator to work with, we need district value, and for GPY series of forex process, this is going to be quite helpful, because if we take the example of say USD GPY, which is now trading close to 144, we will be able to round off value to the nearest integer, and then we can see how things are shaping up, whether there is volatility, enough volatility or not. And using this indicator, we can also make the progression of the price in discrete steps instead of flat curve. So we get to know if the phase change is sustaining or not, simply looking at these output value of the indicator, which is going to be having quite a lot of distance in between two integers. So for USD JPY and other such forex process like AUD JPY, Euro JPY, GBP JPY, etc., we are going to find these indicators particularly useful. So let us now head to the JForex 4, the newly released trading platform from the Dukascopy Bank SA. This is the Brent crude oil chart, which is having a free fall. For last couple of sessions, it has been trading with the downward bias. Even in today's session, it was consolidating closer to 74.5 level after the steep decline registered on 22nd and 23rd January. Yesterday it didn't move much, and finally in today's session we saw this sharp move on the lower side with a decline of almost more than 2 percentage points. Now coming to the utility of this indicator, we can add it from this quick search. All we have to do is type in vector ceiling. Here it comes. Now for light crude oil, you can notice that the output value is being rounded off close to the following integer. At the current juncture, the output of the vector ceiling for the current level is at 73 because we have the underlying instrument price at 72.24 and the following integer is 73. Now the output is going to change only when we see the underlying instrument rising and making a higher high because we get discrete output values for this indicator, the vector ceiling, and when the price moves remain flat, we see this horizontal kind of plotting, and only when there is a significant up move or downward spiral, we get this use of the vector ceiling in figuring out the opportunities. For the commodities like light crude or even gold, we can rely on these indicators, but for other activities, we will have to be careful and look at the underlying instrument's value, and only then we will be in a better position to decide whether the particular instrument we are considering is likely to work well with this vector ceiling indicator. Now let me change it to, say for example, Euro USD, and then you will notice one interesting thing. Because the Euro's output value is quite far away from its recent decimal point, the following instrument we are not likely to use 2 as any useful marker for the underlying instrument of Euro USD, which is trading close to 1.1. So in that case, the output value for the indicator is not going to infer much. We are not really going to get much positive info from these plotting of the underlying instrument with the vector ceiling indicator. Now let me change it to USD JPY. Here we have this USD JPY, and for the USD JPY, the price moves have been simple, steady, and on the upside only. Even in today's session, after the release of economic data, we saw this spike, sharp spike. That spike was sustained, and again we are seeing the fresh momentum trying to push the USD JPY higher. In the process, a new ceiling, the price ceiling, has been established, and right now it stands at 145 because we have seen the output value of the USD crossing above 144, and as a result of that, the following integer becomes prominent, and it is plotted for our utilization. That is what is happening here at the current levels. And if you have noticed, whenever the underlying instrument goes sideways, we came to immediately realize that using these indicators, vector ceiling, because when the underlying instrument goes sideways, we don't really see the formation of new vector ceiling. So unless there is these data points, there are multiple data points pointing towards the need of pressure assessment using other indicators to add additional data points. We have to rely on these plotting, and here there are a couple of things to consider, like these indicators being not usable with all the instruments. So we have to pick and choose. We have to see which are the instruments which are likely to work well, and use this indicator only on those instruments, and exclude all others. So that is how we can deal with these indicators and figure out its application. Now, when we are looking at the USD GPY, we are seeing that its ceiling is increasing on the upside gradually. For example, if we look at the price moves starting yesterday for the USD GPY, it has continued to climb from 142 to now almost at 140, 144, and only when the price is able to sustain and rise above a pre-designated price, we are not going to get any fresh signaling from these instrument. So that is also the benefit of this indicator. If we simply look at the plotting, we can also detect the trend if the underlying instrument is having the upward momentum or the downward momentum. That can also be easily figured out using the plotting of these vector ceiling output value, because when the underlying instrument is going up and up, we will see its vector ceiling is being revised higher and higher in course of time. So utilizing that, we can decide whether the underlying instrument is having a strong momentum, or the momentum is not really on our side. The things are simply staying sideways. So using this indicator, we can take some key levels into account while making the decision, and depending on the sustainability of any prominent number, we can decide whether to utilize it as a support and resistance zone. So all these factors will have to be considered, and accordingly we will be able to profit. Now if we look at the editing panel, we will be able to edit this indicator as well. We can change the applied price. There is not much else we can do. All we can do is try out different types of applied prices, and depending on what kind of applied price I am opting for, you will notice there is a slight changes on the lower side of the chart. So we have to be careful. We have to carry out observation over a long period of time, and then we will be able to decide what kind of applied price to use and how to utilize these output values for figuring out the trading opportunity. So there is a disadvantage as well of working with the vector ceiling indicator, that it helps us in figuring out key levels to watch out for, and also the levels on which we